Hi there, and welcome back to Nail Chronicle. This week's design incorporates two different elements, two of my favorite elements. One's a ombre, and the other one is nail stamping. So I started out with an ombre, and my whole aim with this was to create like an Aussie Outback design where the sun is setting and the sky is getting really dark. And so the way I did this was with a really dark color at the top, so I went with a dark OPI purple, and then went for more of those traditional sunset colors, so had an orange, a sort of yellowy orange into a yellow. One thing I do recommend, well, two things I recommend, is apply your base color. So apply the lightest color first on your nails and let that dry. This helps to create a really nice depth to ombre, and it means you don't have to do so many layers as you're creating the ombre design. The second one is make sure you've got some sort of barrier. It makes cleanup so much easier. In this video I used a latex barrier, but you could use anything from tape. I've heard people use craft glue, all sorts of things. So have a look out there and see what you can find. It will just make things so much easier in terms of your cleanup. So you'll notice when I apply it to the sponge, I started from bottom up. Normally I go from top down. The reason I did this is I wasn't sure how high I wanted to make it, because I generally want the bottom of the polish to be on the bottom of the sponge, or matching up with the edges. So I ended up just starting from the bottom, just more to work out what the spacing should be. From then on I went from top down just so I could create a nicer ombre effect. For the very first application, I recommend having maybe 2 to 3 layers built up, just to make sure you've got enough polish stored up there, because the sponge does what a sponge does and sucks it up. And you definitely don't want your sponge too dry, because it will damage the polish and that first layer that you've applied and waited all that time for it to dry. So I just kept moving along each nail, and I kept doing them in rounds. So I'd go do the whole hand, and then I'd go back to the first nail that I started on and repeat the process until I was happy with how opaque the color was. I think for both hands it was roughly about 4 rounds per hand, but for some of the nails, for whatever reason I had the polish a bit thicker, or it didn't soak into the sponge as much, and so I think there's a couple where it was only 3 or 4, and I decided I was happy and I was leaving it at that point. When I finished the ombre, I then added a clear top coat. This adds a really nice smooth finish to it, and if you've got any like little, it looks like speckles, if you've got that, it will generally smooth that sort of effect out. If you've got a lot of speckles and you can see like little white gaps in it, I recommend doing one more round and maybe waiting a little bit longer for each layer to dry, and making sure that your sponge is wet. That is the key. If your sponge is dry, it will tear off the polish that's underneath. And so yeah, just keep going along, and then moved on to the nail stamping. So originally I planned to do just a mix of reverse stamping and basic stamping, but I really love the look of the basic stamping on my hands, and so I decided just to go with it, and it looked really cool. So the only one I kind of regret is the emu, because it's a little bit hard to see what it is, but other than that it's fine. And the only modification I kind of did was to the image of Australia. They were missing Tasmania off, and it always gets missed on so many images, so I just grabbed my dotting tool out and put a little dot for where Tassie should be. So this is my Australia Day design. I hope you have a wonderful Australia Day, no matter what you're doing or how you celebrate it. So don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and let me know in the comments what you think of this design. Alright, until next time, thank you so much for watching. Bye!